Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Andrea Ferrero, an orthopedic surgeon with a special interest in foot and ankle surgery. Today, we'll talk about how to apply dressings correctly, both for surgical and non-surgical wounds. The goal is simple: promote healing and avoid complications. Everything I'll tell you in the next few minutes shouldn't replace what your doctor, whom you should always consider your trusted partner, tells you. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel and share this video if you think it might be helpful. Let's start with a fundamental concept. To heal properly, a wound needs to be clean, protected, and not disturbed unnecessarily with too often repeated dressings. The problem is that trying to do too much can slow down healing. Therefore, the first rule is to avoid applying dressings every day unless there is abundant discharge, meaning fluid leaking out of the wound, whether clear or bloody. It's important to avoid some common mistakes. Don't use alcohol-based disinfectants. Don't touch the wound with unwashed hands. Don't constantly change the dressing just to check. Don't use random products found around the house that may be expired. And don't remove scabs or developing tissue. Instead, it's essential to always work cleanly, use appropriate materials, follow a simple routine, and observe the wound without traumatizing it. It's not necessary to use complex materials. Simplicity is often the best choice. Not all dressings require the same type of material, but in general, the following will suffice in the vast majority of cases. Sterile set with disposable cotton pads and forceps like this one I'm showing you. Saline solution, especially useful if the wound is very dirty. In this case, the saline solution will clean the wound before applying the disinfectant. 10 gauze pads, useful but not always necessary. Sterile plaster. Choose the correct size based on the wound being treated. There are standard ones, but you'll also find silicone ones that are generally waterproof to protect you in case of contact with water. Personally, I don't trust them enough to say they're safe to use in the shower. A bottle of non-alcoholic disinfectant, which you can also use in spray form. An elastic bandage, if applicable. An important aspect concerns the wound environment. Contrary to what was once thought, the wound should not be allowed to dry out completely. A slightly moist environment promotes healing. For this reason, modern dressings favor non-alcoholic disinfectants that don't dry out the tissue, unlike alcohol-based ones. Position the person to be treated in a position that's comfortable for both them and you. Place a sheet or towel under the area to be treated to avoid staining. Obviously, you should avoid allowing the wound to touch the supporting surface. Start by washing your hands thoroughly for 3 minutes. Dry them thoroughly and, once completely dry, put on the disposable gloves you obtained from the pharmacy. Gently remove the old dressing. If the bandage is very attached, you can moisten it with disinfectant spray. Wait a few minutes and then gently remove the bandage. Once the old dressing is removed, you can then inspect the wound for color, discharge, and odor. I recommend taking a photograph of the wound every time you change the dressing to compare it and show it to your doctor if there are any problems. In most cases, the best way to clean a dirty wound is to use saline solution, which helps remove debris and maintain an environment conducive to healing. Once the wound is clean, you can take another photo. The disinfectant must be used carefully. It must be gentle, so alcohol-free. Open the package containing the sterile forceps and sterile cotton pads. Pour a little non-alcoholic disinfectant into 2 or 3 cotton pads, trying to leave 1 or 2 dry cotton pads to dry at the end. Take a wet cotton pad with the sterile forceps. Pass the cotton pad directly over the wound, moving in one direction only, without repassing the same cotton pad. The dressing must be done slowly and without traumatizing the wound. Repeat this maneuver with another cotton pad soaked in disinfectant. Then use another cotton pad to clean the skin around the wound without touching the wound again. Now take a dry, sterile cotton pad and use it to dry the skin about 2 centimeters away from the edges of the wound, without ever touching the wound directly. Remember that it's never safe to touch the wound with a sterile cotton ball that has already touched the surrounding area. The wound should always be touched only with a sterile cotton ball, never used on any other area. Now you can apply the plaster, trying to make the padded part adhere to the wound, and only then place the adhesive surface on the surrounding skin. Keep in mind that the plaster must adhere to dry skin to be effective. If you haven't dried it thoroughly beforehand, the bandage will tend to peel off quickly. If you like, you can write the dressing date on the outside of the dressing for reference. If you want to use a spray disinfectant, that's no problem. In this case, after cleaning the wound with saline solution, you can spray a little disinfectant directly on the wound. Then use the cotton balls or sterile gauze to dry the edges, always staying well away from the wound to avoid contamination. Once the edges are dry, you can apply the plaster. Placing an elastic bandage over the plaster isn't always necessary, but it can be a good idea in some areas where the plaster can come off more easily, such as joints. For example, I'd mention the shoulder, elbow, wrist, knee, and ankle. If you have a problematic wound, one that won't heal or is bleeding, I recommend contacting your doctor immediately, or your surgeon if you've had surgery. Draining wounds are obviously more at risk of infection, so you need to be extra careful. Personally, I don't like having surgical wounds treated at home. As a general rule, I always ask my patients to come to my office for treatment. But if that's absolutely impossible, I at least ask for a nurse to come to your home, or consider seeing your family doctor. Naturally, a wound may heal more slowly or even fail to heal at all, resulting in an infection. Particular attention should always be paid to certain patients at increased risk, such as diabetics, heavy smokers, malnourished patients, dialysis patients, or immunosuppressed patients, those with reduced immune defenses. Warning signs include a wound that drains fluid, especially pus, or a red or smelly wound, or even if the wound simply doesn't seem to heal after 2 weeks. If these signs are present, it's best to consult your doctor immediately. A frequently asked question concerns the frequency of dressings. As I've said before, I don't like to redress too often, unless they tend to be very wet. If the dressing is dry and not red, I try to only redress once every 5 to 7 days. Changing the dressing too often is a mistake, because it disrupts healing and increases the risk of infection. If the wound tends to leak, I'll reapply the dressing more often, as needed. If you notice the wound tends to get dirty, it might be a good idea to mark the edges of the stain on the bandage with a marker to see if it tends to spread over the next few hours or days. This method is very useful for giving you an idea of the level of wound drainage. If the wound tends to leak and wet the bandage, I'll try to reapply it every 2 or 3 days at most. In this case, however, it might be worth consulting your doctor or a nurse specializing in dressings to prevent further deterioration. In conclusion, wound care must be simple, repeatable, and controlled. It's important to clean gently, protect the wound, avoid overuse of disinfectants, change the dressing only when necessary, and pay attention to warning signs. And above all, if in doubt, it's always advisable to consult a doctor. Once again, thank you for subscribing to the channel, liking it, and sharing this video with anyone you think might need it, and appreciate your thoughts.